The February 6th trade deadline is this Thursday. Time is running out. And honestly, with what's going on around the Atlanta Hawks, all the trades that's been happening, a lot of these trades definitely have some serious implications for the Atlanta Hawks. Somehow, the recent events that's been going on these last couple of days directly affect the Atlanta Hawks. And I am going to be here to explain to you who stays, who goes. I think we have somewhat of an idea as far as who's going to be going, but that's going to be reserved for later on in this video because it's about to go down. This is going to be a very good week. I don't know if I'm just optimistic or I just like seeing drama going on, but it's going to be dope. What's going on, everybody? My name is Walter Pollard, and this is Atlanta Hawks Digest. What, 3 days? What? It's the third. So I want to say, 3 days until the trade deadline, and it's going to get serious. If you've been under a rock, we know now that Luka Doncic is an LA Laker. I am going to explain to everybody how in the world that has something to do with the Atlanta Hawks, how that implicates the Atlanta Hawks. How can the Hawks benefit from these trades? You know, it seems as if if you're just looking around and seeing what's going on, this is kind of how you feel right now. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. You know, the Atlanta Hawks right now, we're dealing with an 8-game skid right now. We'd like to end it tonight versus the Pistons. We've got players just being injured. I mean, our list of players that are out for the season is just ridiculous right now. And then on top of that, we just see it. It just seems as though the rich get richer. You know, we definitely would like to be involved in somewhat of a trade like a Luka Doncic and things of that such, but that's just not the case. So I'm going to dive into how these trades definitely affect the Atlanta Hawks. And it's not just the Luka Doncic one. We definitely got to get into the De'Aaron Fox trade to the Spurs. First and foremost, before I go any further, I definitely got to give a major shout out to Josh Goss and the Spurs Digest page, because he called it. He knew that the Sacramento Kings were shopping out De'Aaron Fox, and I spoke about it earlier, how De'Aaron Fox was definitely he wasn't looking to go, but the Kings were shopping him out. We wanted to see who was available or who wanted to get De'Aaron Fox. And Josh Goss, he definitely called it. He said that he was headed to the San Antonio Spurs to play with Wemby, and that is what is going on. So major shouts out to the Spurs for that. Now, how in the world does that implicate the Atlanta Hawks? And I'll explain it. So right now, the Atlanta Hawks, they own Sacramento's first round pick, which is a top 12 protected pick, meaning if the Kings can land within the top 12 teams, the Atlanta Hawks will retain that pick, or, you know what I mean? They will retain that first round pick. So we definitely don't want to see the Kings getting rid of some of their best offensive assets that they have. We do not want to see that happening. But it's how the Kings handled this trade. You know, it didn't seem as if they just gave him away for pennies and, you know, good riddance. We just want to rebuild with Sabonis and DeMar DeRozan and whoever we got, and this is how we're going to do it. No. But how does this affect the Hawks? Here's how. So with the Kings bringing back Zach LaVine in this trade, it shows me that they want to compete. The Kings would like to compete. They don't want to just throw everything away and end the season right now, and that's just what it is. No, they would like to compete. DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, Zach LaVine. Listen, that can get you at the least from 10 to 12, you could possibly find your way into the play-in tournament if that's what they can do. And again, I'm not following the Sacramento Kings, but I do follow Domantas Sabonis, and that guy is a freaking unit. So we know that the Kings haven't just dealt away all of their assets or everything that they have in order to, you know what I mean, to rebuild or whatnot. They don't want to do that. But they want to compete now, and them getting Zach LaVine definitely shores up an opportunity for them to still compete in this season. Also, too, adding that, DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine have played together once before, so they know, or they have had some form of chemistry amongst each other. So that could bode well for the Atlanta Hawks. I know it might seem I'm going left to make a right, but just pay attention. Stick with me for a minute, because you can see how the Atlanta Hawks can get a pick if the Sacramento Kings can continue to do so. Right now, they sit at the number 10 position at 24-24. So again, it's the middle of the season, proverbially, but it's the middle of the season. It's, where teams are starting to get their footing. And again, with this trade deadline coming up on Thursday, again, we can see some other things happening. But this one specifically, I feel as though was the domino that set everything off, and that's Luka Doncic to the LA Lakers. Now, how in the world does Luka Doncic have anything to do with the Atlanta Hawks other than, remember when he, of course, got drafted? He was drafted to Atlanta, but then we traded that off for Trae Young and X, Y, and Z. So you get that now. We just covered that. But Luka Doncic going to the LA Lakers definitely can bode well for the Atlanta Hawks again as well. Mind you, Luka has not played basketball since December. Okay, he has not played basketball since December. Currently, it's February. So we now know that the LA Lakers, they do want to compete, and they definitely want to stay at the number 5 or even higher. They want to stay at their position in the West, but this trade could definitely bode well for the Atlanta Hawks. And this is how. Atlanta owns LA's unprotected first-round draft pick, and Doncic has not returned from injury since December, which was actually Christmas Day. He had suffered an injury on Christmas Day, so he hasn't returned since then. LA, they own the number 5. They are the number 5 in the Western Conference. But the one thing that I have been seeing consistently on all forums, okay, I'm talking from ESPN to FS1, they have pointed out that Anthony Davis has been the number 1 defensive threat for the LA Lakers. He even ranks in the NBA as far as being a defensive threat. He's been the LA Lakers' number 1 defensive guy for this far, and they just traded him away for an overweight power forward. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. The guy's 277 pounds. I'm talking about Luka Doncic. So you get rid of one guy, and let's not even forget that LA already struggled defensively. So you get rid of the best defensive asset that you have, and then when you get rid of him, you get an offensive guy that barely plays any defense. I'm just setting the scene and letting you guys know that, again, this could bode well for the Hawks. Right now, the LA Lakers are the number 5 seed in the Western Conference. If they do fall below, I want to say the 10th seed. Yeah, if they fall below the 10th seed, again, the Atlanta Hawks retain that pick. So I'm just pointing these things out because on the other side of February 6th, on the other side of the All-Star game, yes, you have the rest of the season, possibly the play-in and the playoffs leading to the NBA Finals. But let's not forget, you got the draft. And we hear all these picks, and this team gets a pick here, and that team gets a compensatory pick, and all this other jazz or whatnot. We know now that the Luka Doncic trade and the De'Aaron Fox trade, both of these guys, they offer. Well, yeah, first De'Aaron Fox and Luka Doncic. These two guys offer the Atlanta Hawks an opportunity to make some good on what's been going on, to save face, to stay afloat. Again, these guys have been playing basketball, man. They've definitely been fighting. As you can see, the other night, the Atlanta Hawks, they were unable to get the win, but Trae Young definitely stepped up with major points. 17-6, 36 points. I mean, Trae Young has been doing this for a very long time, especially this season. So with all of that being said, we got to talk about tonight's matchup versus the Pistons. Yes, the Pistons. Atlanta right now, they're looking to end their 8-game skid versus the Detroit Pistons in Detroit, which is kind of a tough thing, mainly because right now the Atlanta Hawks are 0-4 on road games. Right now, they are on an 8-game skid. Last 10 games, or they're 10-2. So right now, we understand how that is. I did mention earlier that we have 2 Hawks that will be sitting out. Clint Capela is going to be out for this game due to back spasms. And again, I'm just letting you guys know what the injury report tells me. But Clint Capela, he's out for back spasms. I think Bogdan Bogdanović, yes, he's going to be out for personal reasons. So again, I've mentioned that these two guys could possibly be finding themselves on the trading block and could possibly be ending, their season on another team. So I will let Chris Tipmore give you guys more in-depth detail in regards to that. But make sure that you guys remember tonight is at 7 o'clock. The tip-off is at 7 o'clock. Atlanta right now, 22-27. They sit at the number 9 position. Now, you would think with that, the Atlanta Hawks would be all the way down or they'd be unfailed because you hear 8-game losing streak and they've moved out of the playoff picture, even the play-in picture. But right now, they're still at the number 9 position. They can make a change tonight. I am very optimistic that these guys can get a win tonight versus the Detroit Pistons, who are 25-24. It's a fairly young team, and fairly young teams make simple and should have known better mistakes. You dig what I'm saying? And I think the Atlanta Hawks can possibly have a chance to do so. Unfortunately, they only have one guy out. That's Jaden Ivey. But the rest of those guys, Malik Beasley, Cade Cunningham, the Atlanta Hawks, they got their hands full tonight. Trae Young, he is listed as probable, but I do believe he's going to be in because they only say it's the Achilles tendonitis, and we all know that he can play with that because he has. So with all that being said, I hope that the Atlanta Hawks can put an end to this skid. And please, 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 please stay tuned because it is a lot of stuff that's going to be going down. I'm keeping my ESPN buzzer going. I'm keeping all notifications going to be sure that I am first to let you all know what happens ahead of the February 6th trade deadline. My name is Walter Pollard. This is Atlanta Hawks Digest, and I am signing out. Peace.